You want to look at the stars? That sounds so romantic. Of course, I'd love to. It's so beautiful. Can you believe it? The aurora. Kind's light. Look how purple it is. Oh, that's such a sweet thing to say. I think you're making me blush a little bit. Oh, don't say something like that. You're making me blush. You don't know? Kind's light is the most beautiful thing known to any Nord. In a sense, it's just the remnants of Kind's breath upon Nirn when Nords became living. Isn't that amazing? My mother always said to look up at the sky and find your inner peace, because that's Kind's peace. Right there. The very breath that made all Nords. It's good to reflect on that truth, to be reminded of the peace that rules the skies. Reflect. Should we go sit and reflect under Kind's light by the water? It'll be good for us. What do you think? Okay, follow me. I'll find a good spot. Let's see. That could work. No. Over there. That's a good spot. Let's go. Look. Isn't it gorgeous? You can see everything from here. Come, stand by me. Take your time. Moments like these don't last forever. I want to cherish this moment with you as long as I can. Hey, can we talk for a second? Of course. What did you have in mind? Sure thing. The 9 or the 8? Which do you personally hold? Good. I do too. Talos really is the 9th divine. I just wish that Thalmor would respect that. Those Horkers can't seem to fathom a man becoming a god. Well, I'm a Nord and was raised in Bruma, so that meant I worshipped the 9. Talos and Mara being the ones I follow closest. If I had to pick between the two, I'd say Talos. Not because he was a man, but because he's viewed as the patron god of questing heroes. Which, look at me now. I didn't think I'd get to adventure. Everyone always told me it was dangerous, and rightfully so. But I got a sense of adventure from my father. I'm happy it's with you. Yeah. I don't think I'd want to be anywhere else. Without you, I feel lost. But with you, I truly feel... well, I feel at home. Blasphemous. Entirely heresy, that's what I think. I could just wipe every single one of... Look, I'm more than happy to talk about the Divines, but this topic hits close to home and upsets me a lot. Do you really want to know what I think? Alright, well, it honestly angers me to my core. The Thalmor are essentially religious zealots who think they are superior, and Talos has no place. And I think that's just wrong. Wrong on so many levels. Not to mention they slaughter people who refuse their orders. They even put their slave souls into black soul gems. And what can we do about it? Nothing. I hate it. At least the Empire promises to push the Thalmor out once we have the strength. If we ever have the strength. Look, if I keep talking about this, I'm going to want to leave. So just know I hate everything the Thalmor stand for because of their blasphemy against Talos. Thank you, but when I think on it, they really are part of the pain I walk with every day. Yeah, my father. I still think they took him away, killed him, and then just told us he went missing. I hate them for it. I really do. It's alright. Let's just move on, okay? Honestly, I think I will go somewhere. I'm not sure where. Maybe it'll be Sovngarde or somewhere else. Who knows? Well, I really do believe if you die a good death, you'll go to Sovngarde. But what about those who don't? Do we know where they go? I like to have an open mind about it, because what if in reality, it's so much more different than what we think? It's fun to theorize. I have some really good ones, actually. So my main theory is that the life we live is actually just a dream. A dream that we have in the true plane of existence when we fall asleep there. Every time we die in this dream, we wake up in the true reality. That's where we live out our eternity. Well, if you do, then reality breaks. And it's if you weren't even there. Because to realize it, you'd have to be awake. Which means your dream is no more. One day I'll die and wake up from this dream and see whatever lies on the other side. I know it's a crazy theory, but I think it's the best I've come up with yet. What do you think? I think so too. To live a life in a true reality and to live out your dreams, as long as they're good dreams. Don't worry, it's probably not real. Anyways, what else about the gods did you want to talk about? Most can't be trusted in my opinion. We know what many of them have done and could do. Personally, that's a risk I'd rather not take, no matter how tempting the gift they offer may be. Good? No offense to the Dunmer and their beliefs, but even Azura can't be fully trusted. Her love is selfish compared to Mara. Why would I when so many are malicious in their intent? Not only that, but after the Oblivion Crisis, how could any Imperial, Nord, or anyone trust them? And I know it was Mehrunes Dagon seeking the destruction of the world. But still, so many others would do the same. Why trust them? See? They can't be trusted. Even if they seem to be all good and benevolent, why take that chance? I believe in the 9 divines, but just one god? I doubt it's real, but I do sometimes wonder if all the other gods are but figments of his mind. Do you think that's possible? Yeah, I think it's a neat theory because it just means we're only portions of the one god's mind. We never see who he is all at once. Ah, you know about it too! I think it must have been a scary time to be alive, especially with how Kvatch turned out. I thought you knew about it. Kvatch was overrun with Mehrunes Dagon's Daedric minions from his realm of oblivion, with the only survivors being Martin Septim and a handful of others. Long story short, the hero of Kvatch shows up, closes the gate, and brings Martin to safety. They continue their quest to save the Amulet of Kings, and Martin saves Tamriel. You would think the College of Winterhold, but actually, I learned about it in the Imperial City of all places. Well, long story short, I wanted to get into the Arcane University, and I needed to study for the entry exam. It was one of the books I studied. You really should study about history more. You never know what ancient ruins may have actually been the place of some incredible history. You know the ruins of Sarthal? The one recently excavated? They say it's one of the first Nord settlements in Skyrim, the very place from the Night of Tears. It refers to the night that the elves attacked and burned down the settlement. Isgrimor heard, and so he and his 500 companions took revenge. See? History can be good to know. It helps us prepare for the future if you think about it. And yes, I promise not to lecture you. The living gods, well, were living. They were mad to even consider becoming gods. Could you imagine becoming a living god? I don't know what I would do with that kind of power, let alone the responsibility. What would you do if you were a living god? I know you would. You're always helping me and others. I really like that about you. Of course. Hey, just because it's my guilty pleasure doesn't make me addicted. I love them so much, okay. I may be a little addicted. I've done some things I shouldn't, for one, but who doesn't have a vice in their life? They're only sweet rolls. Come on, it's harmless. Yeah, I know. I'll do better and not try to do risky things for sweet rolls. Oh, well, that would have to be you, silly. Of course, there's quite a few things that bring me joy in life, but nothing quite like you. I guess. It only seems natural to be myself around you. You make it so easy to feel comfortable. I'm glad I am. You mean everything to me, and I feel so close to you that I can't live without you. You make it so worthwhile. That's a good question. Maybe I could become the next archmage at the college. Or, I know, I could... No, not anything I can think of. I'm indecisive with what I want to do. Sometimes I want to be the best mage, but then I also want to be a baker. I think finding you was a good start. It's so difficult when you're as indecisive as I am. Know what I mean? I hope so. If you have any ideas, I'm always open to them. As long as it's not selling skooma. Anyways. I don't know if there's just one thing I want out of life, but if I had to pick one, I'd say I'd like to accomplish something. Anything. Even if I want to leave a mark on the world. So that way when I'm gone, I'm not just utterly forgotten. Because to me, what about you? What do you want out of life? I think you'll leave a legacy behind. You're the last Dragonborn after all. They'll sing songs about you long after you're gone. I just hope they remember me too. To be honest, I fear a lot of things. Vampires, werewolves, and spiders, to name a few. But if I had to pick one, it would be death. It's the big unknown. Sure, some Nords who die a glorious death go to Sovngarde, but what happens to those who don't? Where do they go? Exactly. It's not written down or sung in songs. If I die peacefully, what happens to me? Nothing? That's what I fear. Being forgotten and left in utter darkness. Glad you agree. I've been searching for an answer. Every time I visited the Arcanium at the college, I'd look for answers. And so far, I've found none. Sometimes I wonder if it's better not to know the answer, though. It could be more than I want to know. I really need to try to be content with life. Anyways. Of course. Who doesn't? I have a few regrets in my life so far. One of which most wouldn't want to live with. Well, I let a dear friend of mine die. I was afraid, okay? I really don't want to talk about this anymore. Maybe, I wish I could take it back. You do? I mean, after all this time, I've proven to never abandon you, right? I'm glad you came in my life, I really am. I couldn't ever live without you. Thank you. Sure thing. Sure thing. Mm-hmm. You know I hate talking about politics on our outings. Why don't you ask me about it later? Sure thing. I can see us getting married. I think it's a likely thing to happen if we both consent to it on the right occasion. But what about you? What do you think? Really? I'm glad. You know, if you ever feel it's time, just show me an amulet of Mara. I'll know you're serious about it. Someday, but that's dependent on if I ever get back to Bruma with all that's going on. But one can only hope, right? That's really sweet of you to say, but I just don't think it's possible. Who knows, I could be wrong. If I am wrong, then we should go visit sometime. My mother would love you. It's so exciting to think about. I just miss home. Sorry. I still remember the last time we baked sweets together. That's really kind. I hope you're right. Not that I don't believe you. I do. I just hope you're right. I'd really like to see her again. Ugh. Look, you know I hate talking. Personally, I think it's a bleak future. Odds are the Dominion will conquer all of Tamriel and rule as tyrants. But, who knows? What do you think? It's not hard to see, is it? The fading of the Empire? The Dominion now freely... Oh, you don't know? The Second Great War? The Holy Crusade of the Third Aldmeri Dominion? The slaughter of man? Ugh, I just hope I'm gone by then. They say that the First Great War isn't over, and that the Empire will fall, and all of Tamriel will be under their dominion. It's just plain supremacy. But anyways, what's your opinion on it? Well, you can disagree all you want and not believe the truth about the Dominion, and when they have you at the throat, don't say I didn't warn you. I'll still be with you, I'm sure, but other than that, I'm not too sure. I do see us continuing to explore and experience the world around us. What about you? Well, that's good. I'm glad you do. Gives us both the same vision for our futures. Sure thing. Sure thing. I really like where things stand between us. Maybe we can be more, if you want that. I think it's possible. I definitely see you as someone I have a lot of potential with. But whenever you want to, I trust you'll know what to do. I love them. I feel so close to you. Each occasion proves to me more and more just how special you really are. I see so much potential between us. But what about you? What are your thoughts on our outings? Good, and we can go on as many as you like. Well, within reason, of course. I don't want us to get tired of them. Obviously, we need to be very close, but I think if you took me somewhere special and presented me with an amulet of Mara, I would know you're very serious. There's a lot that I love about us. All the places we've been together, the times we've shared a sweet roll, all the people we've helped. If I had to pick, it would be the bond of love we share. Two hearts colliding and eventually becoming one. The bond we share together is what I love the most. It's what ties our thoughts into one and helps guide us in life. I love that. What about you? What do you like about us the most? Me too. We're so close together. I wouldn't put it past us to marry someday. I think so. I really don't see us ending it. If anything, I think we could get married and be together forever. But what about you? Do you think we'll always be together? I'm glad you think so. It feels good to depend on someone who is sure about our future together. Of course. Of course. My father? I don't know if right now is the time to talk about him. Maybe we can talk about him later, okay? Thank you for understanding. I'm comfortable with telling you. I would just rather not on our special outing. My mother is really hardworking. She did all she could as a single mother. She loved me so much that she really sheltered me. Well, as much as any traveling merchant could. She's a mage who studied at the Arcane University, and she really wanted me to follow in her footsteps. I learned a lot from her as I grew up. She was a great teacher. But if there was one thing everyone knew about my mother, it was how selfless and perceptive of others' emotions she was. She would be the first to notice if there was something bothering you. Isabel. In a way, yes. I'd be exposed to all sorts of things, but under the protection of my mother. She would never let me go far from her sight, always nagging me if I did. I mostly followed her around, but sometimes I managed to sneak off and even make a new friend. You could say that being sheltered meant I didn't have many friends, and you'd be right. The only friends I regularly saw were in Bruma. Outside of that, there weren't many more. I didn't mind it too much early on, but as I got older, I started to become adventurous, sneaking off when my mother wasn't watching. When she found out, though, she would always nag me, saying, "You're just like your father, too adventurous and naive of the world. Always keep your footing." I think she was right. I've gotten into some situations where I should have known better, but they say everything happens for a reason. I like to believe that. Probably until she couldn't stop me from sneaking out anymore. In reality, I would say when she sent me off to attend the Arcane University, I think we both agreed it was time for me to grow up and learn to be on my own. I was excited, but also scared. I'd never been so far from home alone, and I was used to sneaking out and coming back the same day. Not a whole year. But I mustered my courage and said goodbye to my mother at the Imperial City. "You're becoming a great woman," she said. "Your father would have been proud." Aw, that's kind of you to say. I like to think she's proud, even though I still do naive stuff here and there. Hey, it's part of the process, right? Yes, she's a very well-trained mage and knows so much more than I do. She's the one who inspired me to become a mage. I'm not sure. Hard to say with everything that's going on. I really wish we could. I think she would... Yes, I don't think I'd be the person I am now without her. Sure. What else about my family did you want to know? No, but sometimes I wonder if I have a long-lost sister, like someone my mother never told me about. But who knows? Yeah, it is. You could have a long-lost sibling as well. Never know until the truth comes out. There are some trade partners my mother met on our travels, and a couple others. There's Jakan. a Khajiit merchant that we met in Breville. He's a good merchant, only selling honest goods. There's also Kierva, a Redguard woman who we met in Such. My mother and she spent long hours hunting for bargains on the Gold Coast. Lastly, there was Noriva. She was a Nord who lived in Bruma. My mother and she were close friends, until the Thalmor incident. I guess Noriva was having a bad day or something and decided to politely tell the Thalmor agent to leave and stop asking questions. Next thing we knew, she was being dragged away, begging for mercy. We never saw her after that. I wish we could have done something, but the guards said not to interfere. My mother was never quite the same after that. Long story short, my mother needed a family to live with after... something very bad happened. Something very painful for me to remember. About 17 years. Of course, but I think with everything that's happened to me, it's probably for the best. I was going to have to leave eventually. When we met? Yes, I seriously think everything happens for a reason. Look at us now. I can see that happening. After all, she's got a heart yearning for a deeper love. Maybe you can show her, with an amulet, just how serious you truly are. Of course. I lived in a lot of places like Grifton and Solitude, but Bruma is where I mainly grew up. From the time I was born until I was about 2. I don't remember much of it, but I was told they were happy times. From 2 years old to maybe 7? I don't quite remember much other than why we left. And that other thing. We moved there when I was about 7 years old. I don't think I'll ever be going back with everything that's happened. No, I don't really consider my time at the College of Winterhold a place I lived. More so just staying for a semester or 2. I traveled around with my mother, studied spellbooks with her, snuck off to play with friends, and explored a lot of places I wasn't supposed to be in. We would go to a lot of places, some as far as the Iliac Bay, but we mainly went around Cyrodiil and Skyrim. Oh, quite a lot. We would travel for about a week, come back home for a week or 2, then leave again. The idea was to travel around looking for the best bargains we could find, then return home to Bruma and sell them for better prices. Not as often as we would have liked. We were always scraping by to make ends meet. It was probably because we had to support my grandparents, too. Oh, I didn't tell you. When we moved to Bruma, we moved in with my mother's parents. I hope I can see them again sometime. They were loving people. That's hard to pick. There's so many good places, but I'd say it's a tie between Anvil and Shadenhall. It's on the Gold Coast, probably the best coastline in Cyrodiil. The warm sunshine and gentle breeze with the smell of the sea. It's just so cozy there. I love it. Because it's undeniably one of the most beautiful cities in all of Cyrodiil. It just has this cozy, warm feeling when you walk through the front gates. They really are some of the best towns to visit in all of Cyrodiil. Maybe we can see them together someday. Sometimes I would sneak out and play tag with them until my mother caught me. Oh, back in Bruma, where my best friends were, we would always sneak around and find ways to prank the guards. You could say we were bored children. We would go by the river and talk, or go to the market and get treats with our allowances. And then I would explore with... well... never mind that. Nothing. Just a painful memory is all. Yes, I'd study together with my mother. We'd study every chance we got. I missed studying my spellbook with her when it would snow. It was so cold, but the warmth from my heart when I was next to her always made me so happy. Ah, you think so? I was very bundled up and warm thanks to my mother then. but now I have you to help keep me warm. I'd sneak out of the house some days when my mother was too busy and go outside the city gates. The country below Bruma is beautiful. Eventually, my mother caught on that I was sneaking out. She really had something to say about it. Aniya, you're just like your father. Always quick to adventure, but slow to keep your feet on the road. She really didn't like how reckless I was being. If only she could see me now. In Skyrim, adventuring with the fabled Dragonborn. You don't think I'm in over my head, do you? Being here in Skyrim? I'm glad you think so. For a second, I really started to think I came to Skyrim rashly. Besides the sweet roll incident, I think it was a good decision. And to think, I'll do so much more now with you. I'm so excited for what the future holds for us. Sure, what else about my past did you want to know? I have a lot of favorite memories, but one of the best ones would be this. Before every Saturalia, when the first snows would fall, my mother would come home with a small fir tree and we would spend a long time decorating it each night. When it was finished, we would even decorate the entire house. But every year we would always put as many gifts as we could for each other under the fir tree. You should have seen the fir tree. It had so many candles and colorful pieces of blown glass on it. I'll never forget the way it sparkled. And no, the candles didn't burn it down, if you were wondering. They were imbued with magicka. My mother took great care over it. Ah, yes. I would love to go back home to celebrate this year. But I don't think I'll ever be doing that again. Looks like Skyrim is my new home now. You'd want to do that with me? That's really sweet. Of course, I'd love to. I could decorate the whole house. Well, of course. You would always be invited. My mother would love you. There was my mother, me, Grandma and Pa, a few trade partners, a few of my friends and nearby neighbors. We would bake. I loved baking with her. It was so much fun. We'd also cuddle by the fire or go pray to Talos in secret in the Chapel of Martin. It really is. I enjoyed it so much. I hope one day we can do that together. Yes, my two closest friends were Raylan and Askel from Bruma. I miss those boys. Raylan was shy and liked to do things more on his own. He would woo me sometimes, but it wasn't always his intention. He was someone you could really count on. Someone who would listen to you, not judge you, and really understand how you felt. Reminds me of you. I don't know, but I really don't want to talk about this on our outing. I really don't want to think about it. Haskell was hard-headed and adventurous, always looking for new ways to impress me and outdo Raylan's attempts of winning my heart. But he was a friend you could really count on. If you were scared, he would always be that inspiring character to give you hope. Just like you. Not a clue. When he got older, around the time I was 14, he left his home and started traveling around more, coming back only a few times to see me. By the time I started going to the College of Winterhold, I would only see him once a year, around Saturalia. After that, he stopped coming entirely, and we never saw him again. He could be out there. So could my other friends. But I doubt I'll ever see them again. Plus, you're the closest friend I've ever had. And not just a friend, but a partner. I think so too. I just wish I still saw them, you know? Maybe one day I'll run into an old friend. But for now, it's just the past. I'll have to move on. Of course. Would you be surprised if I told you it wasn't my first choice? The Arcane University. It's an embarrassing story. I don't know if you want to hear it. Okay, here we go. So, My mother sent me to the Imperial City to attend the Arcane University, and I thought for sure I would get in. All that I had learned from my mother made me sure of it. I was wrong. I was accepted to take the initial test, but when I came back from studying, one of them didn't like me for some reason, so they outright denied me going through with my exam. And I had spent weeks studying in the Imperial City. I was so sure I would get in. Even my mother was sure of it. They even laughed at me when they saw me crying. I know. I can be sensitive, but it cut so deep when I heard those words. Your entry is denied, stupid Nord. How could they say that? That's really sweet of you to say that. It makes me really happy to know you think I am. You know, when I really think about it, I'm glad I went to the College of Winterhold instead. It's been really helpful to me, especially now with all that's going on. I would go for a few months at a time, sometimes half a year. It was fun. I got to celebrate holidays with my peers as well. Well, not really, no. I was going to stay for an extended period of time while I tried to make a plan on what to do since I moved out. But as most things in life go, it didn't go as I planned, and I ended up staying in Whiterun instead. And that's when I met you, and we started the story together. I guess you could say life figured out a plan for me, to be with you, and I'm more than happy to be at your side always. With you, of course. A lot has changed since my previous attendance. I guess you could say after some life experiences, I just always feel different from the rest of my peers. Sometimes I question if I even belong there. Do you really think so? I mean, I did pass a lot of my exams. You're right. Thanks. I would attend classes, learn new spells, practice them, study, and take exams. You know, all the stuff you would normally do at a college. Most of the time I would study in the Arcanium, mainly on books about spells, mysterious events, and other historical events in Tamriel. I learned some really interesting things. Well, I learned about the so-called living gods, the battle at Red Mountain, the rise of Tiber Septim, and I even read about the rumors and mysteries of the Black Books of Hermaeus Mora. Oh yeah, I could teach you all about... Wait, I see what you're implying here. Alright, lessons are next week. Don't be late. The School of Alteration. I always found it fascinating how you can manipulate the objects in the world around you, especially with telekinesis. A Khajiit named Zonkir. He's really good at spells, and I would practice with him a little. But what we really liked doing was playing tricks on our peers. Not really. Not like you're thinking, at least. Zonkir loved practicing his spells of illusion on people, by tricking them. I never went out of my way to do it personally. I only helped Zonkir because he made it look harmless. It was fun until he got caught. But he was never expelled for it. He could be. He was there when I last attended, but with everything going on now, I have no clue if he went back home or stayed. Aside from tricks and being good at his spells, we always had good discussions about what I learned in the Arcanium. Apparently, I taught him a lot. I just remembered his tough love. If anyone was upset or angry, he would just mock whatever you were upset or angry about. I know, weird, but it worked sometimes. Of course. Sure thing. What's on your mind? And I love you too, more than anything in this world. A world without you isn't worth living, and I want to live all my days with you. I feel the same. I really enjoyed it. We should do this again soon. All you have to do is ask. I'm always open to outings with you as long as you are, and we're not too busy. You know, you're really special to me too. Like, really special. I really do. I don't see a future with anyone else but you. Of course, you can ask me anything. Of course we can. We'll stay together as long as you want, until you think we're ready for more. Okay, if you want to do this again, just let me know. I had a lot of fun with you.